If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I'm in search to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? Oh, the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
Now, here's your host, DJ Host with the Most.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Snap Decisions. I am your Snap DJ, your host with the most. And I'm on time this week. Shocking. I know, it's crazy. I'm actually on time. I'm out on a Tuesday like I had planned on from the very start. And yeah, so this is going to be the end of the month / preview of a Spider-Man Brand New Day episode. So we're going to talk about the rankings for my rankings for the Spider-Man Brand New Day cards, which I may not have been looking forward to a season as much as I'm looking forward to this next one. Not just because it's related to the film, of course, which I'm excited for, but also just to get the heck out of this buff season that we are playing in. I am so over buffs. And when it's coming, you see the Jeff the baby, whatever the heck he is, dolphin, land shark, whatever he is, come out on turn 1, and you know what's coming next with Venus, and then we were going back to Kitty Pryde with Angela, and oh my God, I'm over it. I'm over it. The only way you can probably have an easy time with these decks or beat these decks is with a Shadow King, and even with that, some people were using Shadow King with Grandmaster to hit both lanes. I mean, it's just. I am not, I've told you guys several times, I am not a buff player at all. I never played the Gwenpool stuff when that was prominent. I am not that kind of a player. And this month was just awful. I told you guys last week on the show that I was like mid 90s. Well, I'm even lower than I probably was last week because I can't buy a win. Cannot buy a win no matter what decks I've tried. And I'll get into that in a little bit later. But no matter which decks I have tried, I don't think there's any way I'm getting the infinite this month because it's all ups and downs. It's win 1, lose 2, lose another 1 or 2 more, win 1, that's the way it's been. And generally it's against these buff decks. It's against the Surfer decks with Mother Ascani, which by the way, that nerf they did was laughable. For the power of this card, the nerf they put on this card was laughable. And again, I'm going to go back to saying it. I've said this before. I don't know where they get their data from. I really don't. And data, I guess, is data, but I don't know where they get it from when they're saying that her win rate, obviously they look at the win rates of the card. I don't know where that factors in, but I'll tell you what, I see that card, I think maybe more now than I did before the card was nerfed. And especially in Surfer decks, because then you're getting hit with 2 Surfers or you're getting hit with 2 Broods or whatever. And then that whole thing with Stick and Maverick and I would go back to the Star-Lord meta at this point. I literally would. I literally would go back to the Star-Lord meta at this point. The buff meta is terrible to me. I do not like playing those kind of decks. And that's all it is. And again, like I said, if you don't have a Shadow King in your deck and they get rolling and get all their stuff, you're just done. You have no choice but to retreat before turn 6. And that's what I've been doing. I've not been losing a lot of cubes to them, but when you have to retreat and then you have to retreat again and you have to retreat again and you have to, because it's all the same decks, then it makes for a very, 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 very tough game to be playing. And I've focused more in these past few weeks on my PlayStation than I have on Snap. And that's saying something because usually that's not the case. I usually play it quite a bit, but I've just come to grips with the fact that nope, I'm not getting over the hump in the 90s, and with all the way all these decks are. So I am looking forward to the Spider-Man season. I'm hoping that a lot of people will, once the season rolls around, people start playing the new cards. I'm hoping that's true. And now I know the Spider-Man cards are going to be giving buffs a little bit of their own with this new ability that they have, but I'm hoping it's a little bit different at least. Then of course we have limited time game modes, which I'm going to cover in a little bit more in depth, but there is something going on with those. And again, I know I like my conspiracy theories. I know all that kind of stuff, but there's got to be something going on with these things because they are, first of all, almost every time that it looks like I've got a game in hand, right? The person will retreat after turn 2. Like they won't even get to turns 3, 4, and 5. They just out and out retreat. And the retreat comes, and listen, you guys can tell me. You guys can tell me in the comments or in general, or just reach out. You guys can tell me if you've seen this or if it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, right? Maybe I'm just the crazy old man. But I have seen where I'll be winning the match. Like I started off playing the very first deck I saw in the thing, which was the Hulk deck, which apparently I wasn't alone there because a lot of other people just didn't get past that and they were playing the Hulk deck enough where it became the most popular deck in the game mode for a while. But, with that deck, many times you have to wait till turn 2 to play your ability that lowers your Hulks in your hand down to 4 and stuff like that. So it takes a little while to get going. But, the decks are constructed where some of them have very powerful tech. Hulk's deck has a Cosmic Ghost Rider and a Rogue. So it's got plenty of stuff to take care of other decks and things like that. But anyway, I would have, I would get like one Hulk out and maybe I'd have a Monstro out on turn 1 and you'll get to turn 3 and all of a sudden you'll sit there, right? Like I'll sit there and I'll be waiting and waiting and waiting for the other player or AKA bot. Now people are saying there's no bots in limited time game modes. I don't know. Because if that's true, then there are players that are just really, really poor at the game, or maybe they're just like brand new to the game and don't know how to play, but like they are literally sitting there and taking, I'm clock watching because this is how much this has happened. They're taking like minutes and minutes and minutes to just make a decision on what they want to do. And then if I have like a Hulk in one lane at 14, and then if I have another lane that has like a She-Hulk in it or something like that, then all of a sudden they'll go to make a decision and then they'll all of a sudden concede. Like, first of all, why are we conceding in limited time game modes? Like, when did this ever... And again, I've never seen this happen as much as it's been happening the last 2 limited time game modes. Like, what are we doing? First of all, this one in particular is only for cosmetics. Why are people retreating in these games? Like, they are meaningless. you stay to the end. In fact, you're more times often than not going to get more rewards and stuff like that anyway, or at least a little bit more points than if you quit. So what are people forfeiting about? Like, I just don't understand it. And then I went out and I made a declaration yesterday on Twitter saying that it's got to be bots, because they play like bots. I've said this so many times, where when you come across a bot, and if it's not a cheater bot, or not, if it's not a stupid bot, I should say, like one of the dumb ones, they'll sometimes do the same thing. They'll sit there and it makes me feel like they're contemplating all their moves and thinking about what they can do to beat you. And then if they realize they can't, they forfeit the game. Well, that's the same way it's working with this. And if this is players that are doing this, what kind of players are they? Are these like, the only other thing I could figure out, and if it's true that there were no bots in this mode, then I have got to be playing against brand new players who either don't know how to play the game, and that's why they're taking so long. Maybe they don't know what the cards do. Maybe they are, just started playing in the last few days, and they're playing in these modes and they don't know how to play them. And they're just sitting there and letting their timer go to the very end before they decide to make a decision and or forfeit. So I really don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'll get into that again in a little bit, because it just seems like this limited time game mode and the last one were very, very similar. And this one is even worse. So these things are like I said, for something that's cosmetics related, these are getting to be a chore to play, an absolute chore, and they're not fun. These things used to be a little like a good fun getaway from the regular game when you were frustrated on ladder or something like that. They're not fun. When people are leaving after turn 2, and then you got to start a whole nother match over again, and you're not getting your full rewards and everything because people are staying to the end. This happened in the last limited time game mode too. I forget which one it was, but it was the one where if you both snap, you get better rewards at the end. I can't remember what the name of it was off the top of my head, but and again, people are they're leaving. Like so many times in the last game mode too, people were forfeiting. And the only logical explanation I can see for that is that these are new players who just don't know what they're doing. And so they think that because maybe they're just learning the game, and they learn that when they're going to lose, to forfeit, on normal ladder, which you should do. But then they're bringing it into limited time game mode. So it's either brand new players that have no clue that these limited time game modes are done differently. They're obviously not reading the directions or reading the descriptions, or they're bots. And I was watching Regis Kilbin's video the other day, and he was kind of talking about the state of the game, as he does. He usually does one of these videos like every year. And he brought up some very eye-popping statistics about where Snap is from a year ago. And I'll just tell you guys, if you want to go watch it, go watch it. But it's not good news. It's not great news. He even suggested on there that he thinks that on Steam, the game is so low right now that he wouldn't be surprised if if they totally move off of Steam as a platform. So things aren't great. And I don't know, whether or not they're getting a lot of new players. I don't know the numbers. I don't know the statistics and stuff. Like I said, if you want to know about that, go check out Regis's video, because he goes over all that on there. But I don't know where we're headed. But again, these limited time game modes are not fun. They are like a chore. And it's no offense to the creators. They tried to do something a little bit different and get a bunch of creators to make decks and to have the decks be the ones that you could pick from. Well, the drawback to that is that they used to have it where you can replace some cards in these decks. and put your own kind of spin on them, make them a little different. But in this one, you can't. You have to pick these creators' decks. You cannot change cards. You cannot do anything different to these decks. You just have to pick up and play one of these creator decks. Well, I don't know if the creators were asked to make decks specifically for this limited time game mode. I would imagine that they probably were, but some of them don't even really seem like they're built for this particular game mode. So I don't know. It's just, as I talked to you guys last pod about it, when you're playing ladder and you're frustrated because you just can't seem to pick up a win, where do you turn to? Conquest is terrible. Conquest is awful. So that's really not an option for most people. And now you get these limited time game modes that you hope kind of can give you a different way to play the game and get away from it for a little while. But you know what? What did I come across today mostly was the decks, the limited time game mode that the deck had Mother Ascani. So it's another, here we go again. I'm playing against this broken card. Not only all the time am I seeing it on ladder with Silver Surfers and stuff like that, but now I'm seeing it in the limited time game mode. And again, I ask, it could be because the creators that gave them these deck lists or that they got these deck lists from, I don't know how it was done. So again, I don't know if they came up with, if they made decks specifically for this, and then they're putting this card that's obviously still broken into their list for a limited time game mode where people are going to get even more frustrated with that because now you're seeing it on ladder and you're seeing it in a limited time game mode. Limited time game modes, in my opinion, should be fun. Yes, it's about winning games. I get that. I understand that. Sanctum to me is fun because it's different. Deadpool's Diner now to me is fun because it's different. The closer these limited time game modes get to Marvel Snap, to actual Snap, and they're playing with the same cards in these decks where the cards aren't banned, in my opinion, if you have a card that you just had to rework and stuff like that, and you kind of know that it's on the verge of being nerfed even harder because the card is still being played a ton, that card shouldn't be allowed in limited time game modes. It just shouldn't. They have ban lists. Mother Ascani should be banned in limited time game modes. And so anyway, this is my, it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows on this pod because I'll be honest, I have been so frustrated with this game over the past 5 or so days that, like I said, and normally, I played a good amount, right? But I've stepped away from it. I've been playing video games on my PlayStation. I've been doing other stuff. I'm even rewatching The Walking Dead, which I've seen a bazillion times of each episode. But I'm even doing that to pass the time because of the frustrations of this. And so I really, really hope, and we'll get to my Spiderman card ranks in a few, but I really hope that the Spider-Man season changes things. I'm afraid that it won't because I'm afraid that these people that are playing these Mother Ascani decks and these stick decks and all that kind of stuff, I'm just afraid that they might try the new cards, but if they notice that either they're struggling a little bit, not winning, or they're realizing that they're just not putting out the amount of points that the Mother Ascani stick and all that kind of and Maverick and all that kind of stuff does, then they're not gonna change. They're not gonna change. They might change for a day or two, but when they realize that that's not dominating the meta, then they're gonna switch right back. So I really don't know. I don't know what to say here. I don't really have any good reasons why it's like it is now. But I can tell you as a player, I'm not thrilled with it. Card games, ones I've played in the past, the reason that I stopped playing them, whether it's digital or actual card games, is because the meta game in the card game gets completely and utterly stale. And if you don't want to play that particular deck or play that particular meta staple, you're on the outside looking in and you are having a very, very difficult time getting anything going whatsoever in the game. And I think I can probably speak for most people with this, but when you're, yes, it's about having fun. But as I said on the previous podcast, having fun is also winning some games. And if all you're doing is losing, and you're losing to the same deck over and over and over and over again, and you even go and you look up decks that people are saying, okay, this counters the meta, and so you should play this, like I mentioned with the Shadow King thing earlier. This counters that. So play, and then you try that, and then the next thing you know, and here's another quick little. I may as well make this just a rant and complaint section because this is another little thing too. Is like when your matchups, right? And again, we've often heard the theory or the conspiracies about mirror matches and mirror matchups, right? Well, my God, am I getting them in this limited time game mode? Now, the limited time game mode you'd expect, because people are going to latch onto a deck and, like everybody was mostly playing Hulk. So sure, you're going to have Hulk versus Hulk. You're going to have, this versus that. That's to be expected. But to give you a good example, right? I was playing the deck that I was having some success with. It was, I think I told you guys about it last week. It was a Wiccan type deck, but it had Shang-Chi, the Master of 10 Rings. It had Monstro in it. It was, it was a very different deck. And then all of a sudden, I started to lose with it, but the thing would be is that whatever I had in that deck, the matchups that I was starting to get into were matchups that were either very, very similarly stacked with almost the same deck and the same cards, or it was an exact deck that was designed for my deck to have problems with in the beginning. Now, I know they say over and over and over again that the matchups are random. Well, boy, there were times throughout the course of this past week that I thought to myself, my God, if that's true, then I've got to be the unluckiest guy on the planet. Because I would just match up into decks that there was no way I could beat with the deck that I had currently playing. No way. And also, then you see when, let's say that maybe you don't have a play on turn one. And all of a sudden, your opponent gets the perfect play. Let's just say they're playing a destroy deck. Well, you're sitting there. You can't make a play on turn one. All of a sudden, your opponent gets turn one Deadpool. Turn one X23. Next turn, he gets a Nico Minoru and a Carnage and just goes off. Every single turn, he's got a play, or he or she has a big play. They have everything they need, and you're still sitting there on turn 3 with maybe one card on the board. Okay, now I know what everybody's going to say. Well, retreat. Yep, that's exactly what I do. I don't stay in games like that. I retreat for the 1 cube. Well, then I play another game, and then another, and then another. And it's a very similar thing. I lose a cube, I lose a cube, I lose a cube, I lose a cube. So then I'm like, all right, Obviously, the meta's got something on my deck because maybe this is just not lining up right now to be a competitor in this particular meta. So then I switch, right? And I ended up switching to a Galactus deck that has goblins in it and Selene, which I have not played at all. I played it many, many months ago, but I switched to that thinking that everybody's trying to fill lanes with this month, right? Because they want that Venus stuff going. So they have all their slots in every lane full and they're buffing every single one and all this. So what if I put a wrench in their plans and I hit them with these goblins? What are my first 3 matchups against when I switch decks? Galactus decks. I'm not kidding. Galactus, the one Galactus deck was the old one that has X-23, Wolverine, Death, the Ultron, that one. So that's the first deck I run into. Second deck I run into was an exact copy of mine because I see the Selene come out on turn 1. The Goblin comes out and then I'm pretty much toast because I didn't get the kind of draw that they did. Then I get a third one that is also playing Galactus, but it's a different version of it. It's the Adamantium Infusion deck with Galactus in it. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, you can't say, and this was after I switched to a Galactus deck, right? I come off the Monstro deck, I switched to a Galactus deck, and then my next 3 matchups were Galactus. Like, okay, so you're going to tell me that no, it's not bots. They're not recognizing the fact that you have a Galactus, so they're going to play a Galactus deck too. No, it's not that. It's not that, it's not that certain matchups can be created because it's all random. How in the hell can you play like a very Galactus right now? First Steps is popular, but Galactus himself is not a very popular deck. It's certainly not high up in the rankings or anything like that of that nature. So why is it that all of a sudden my next 3 matchups were with an OG Galactus? This is what makes me wonder. Like the old Arsenio Hall show, for any of you who ever watched it, things that make you go, This is what makes me wonder. And then everybody said, well, no, matchups aren't made like that. It's completely random. Well, then I told you earlier, I must be the guy in Snap with the worst luck of anybody else that I know of. Anybody else. Now, I also know that we're all in like our own little pocket metas and things like that from watching creators, right? The ones that hit infinite are in the infinite meta. The ones that are higher up are in the high infinite meta. So they're playing against certain players all the time. Well, whatever screwy ass meta I happen to be in, I don't hit infinite every month, so I'm obviously not going to be super high ranked. And then when I did hit it last month, I think the highest I got was like 3,000 or 2,000. So if it's in that particular meta that I'm stuck, well, oh my God, there must be a hell of a lot of Galactus players in that same meta. I don't know. Maybe I'm influencing them because I'm always talking about Galactus. Maybe they're listening to my show. Maybe I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand it. But that is what I ran into, and that is what I am running into, and that's why today, when I get done with recording this, I'm going back to my Walking Dead and my video games, and Namorita does not look like it's a card that I'm going to be concerned or care about. Triton, for sure, I couldn't care less about, so I may just be packing it in early this month and just waiting for the new season to come out, because this season overall has just not been fun. And, I don't like the decks that it made. I don't like the decks that it created. I do not, I never thought I would say that I really cannot stomach seeing Jeff. He's such a cute little character, but I'm at the point where I get nauseous when I see that Jeff the Baby Dolphin get thrown onto the board. Because I know it's coming. And if for some reason, I did have decks that have Shadow King, but if I have a deck that I'm playing that does not have a Shadow King in it, I'm just dead. and you may as well just leave, because when they get that thing rolling, you're not going to match them power for power unless you're playing something ridiculously stupid like a tribunal deck, which I've seen come back also, by the way. And see, to me, there are telltale signs when a meta is bad. When you see decks like Tribunal coming in and making an appearance, or you see a lot of Mr. Negative coming in and making an appearance, the reason that happens is because people think to themselves that the only way that they're going to win is by going over the top. Because these buff decks get so big that the only way you're going to beat them is by going ungodly amounts over the top. So that means Tribunal. That means like an Iron Man list that's going to be able to, like an Iron Man with Moonstone, that's going to be able to get to 60, 70 points in a lane. Things like that is what you're going to see come back into the meta, because they're the only way people can compete with these decks without conforming and having to play the decks themselves. And that is what I will not do. And I will not do that. I will not conform to the masses in a card game, because that to me is not fun. I'm not just going to go and grab a content creator's deck. No, I have used, most of the ones that I look at and use are from, Safety Blade. I've used a lot of his, with success. So I'm not against it, but I kind of like to do my own thing. And it was the same as I have said from Magic the Gathering. I like to play my own way. I like the cards that I liked. I was a fan of black cards, and I liked the black genre. I liked discard. I liked what black did. But when I would get into a meta in Magic where I had no shot to win, and most of the times in Magic, it was blue-white. If I faced blue-white and a lot of people were playing blue-white, I was dead in the water. And because I don't conform, and I had the cards, I could have done it, but I don't like playing those decks. I don't enjoy playing those decks. So I'm not going to conform, and I'm not just going to say, I own every card in Snap. So I certainly can just copy those decks that I'm getting beat by with the Venus and the Jeff and this and that. And, I can make those exact same things. But number one, I'm not going to enjoy it because I don't like them. And number two, I'm probably not going to be very good at it because I don't normally play them. So I don't know where the cards necessarily are supposed to go or what they're supposed to work with or anything like that. Anyway, rant over. That lasted a half hour. But yeah, look, I try to just tell things like it is. I hope you all appreciate that because, look, I know that there are a lot of other creators out there. I respect people, at my age. I respect people who tell things like it is. And, I'm too old to bullshit people. I'm too old to live with the BS. And so I like things just told like it is. I don't want to hear, beating around the bush. I don't want to hear lies. I don't want to hear, this and that. I just like to know what's going on and have people be straight. And that's what I try to do with this podcast, and that's what I try to do with you guys. And listen, I know I use this time at the beginning of the pod to kind of just state what's going on or state how I feel. I'm not going to certainly come on here and tell you that, oh my God, it was so great. Oh, this past week was so amazing. I did this. Sure. When I do something that is fun or when I play something that's fun, I'll tell you guys that. If I hit infinite, I've told you when I did. I told you how I did, what that guy did, all that kind of stuff. But if to me the game is unfun, where it's chasing me from it, whether I'm, like I said, I got a copy of Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 that came in my store. Somebody traded in, and I pounced right on that because I'd wanted to buy it again anyway, and kind of go and play it. And if I'm playing something like that, that's a game that I've already pretty much played through, and I pretty much completed the playthrough when I did it the first time. But if I'm playing something like that, which is a repeat play of a game that I had played before, not a new game by any stretch, if I'm doing that with my time, or if I'm watching reruns of one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen, that's Walking Dead, but I've seen every season of this show, maybe besides the very last one when it kind of went off the rails a little bit and veered away from the comic book stuff a little bit. But when I'm sitting here and I'm watching that instead of playing Snap, you can probably know what my mood is about the game. Because, you know, it would normally be time where I wouldn't even be paying attention to that, and I'd be playing Snap and stuff like that. But if I'm in something like that, you can probably bet there's a reason why. So, all right, well, editorial piece is done. Again, I hope you guys, you know, like I said, I hope you enjoy the honesty. I'm not going to ever come on here and I'm not going to say things are great when they're for me, they're generally not, because that's all I can go by. I can't go by what I see with when content creators are making videos and stuff like that, like whoever it might be, whether it's Regis or Binks or Dexter, whoever. You know, they're going to, when you're on a YouTube video and you're playing that particular game, your game streaming and stuff like that, you're going to keep it as positive as you can, because that's going to get you more views, and that's going to get you, you know, stuff like that. But I hope that you're appreciative of the fact that I just come on here and I'm just as brutally honest as I need to be. And I hope that you guys all realize that. So, all right, well, rant over. That's my weekly little editorial op-ed rant type thing. I should have named it something like the Weekly Bugle or something, because I probably sound a lot like Jonah Jameson sometimes when I do these, because he's always ranting and stuff like that, whether it be in the Spider-Man game or in comics or on the screen and stuff. So who knows? Maybe I've just got like the heart of that old style journalist that he kind of is. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But anyway, we're going to move on. I'm not going to go over any more. That I was going to touch on the limited time game modes later, but I just included it in that. So I'm not going to really talk about it, other than the fact that I'm done with it. I bought my way out of it. I paid the gold, and I got the Triton card, and I'm done with it. I'm not playing for the portal pull cards. They're all the avatar cards anyway, which to me, they're not great. I mean, the Thanos one is kind of cool, but the rest of them I couldn't care less. What are the ones in the portal? I think Annihilus was one, Ghost Rider was one, and there was one other one. But I'm certainly not playing for those. I got an emote that I wanted. The Squirrel Girl emote was in there, so I got that one. But yeah, so the limited time game mode and me are done. We've parted ways. So, all right. Well, let's get into something a little more happy, and we will go into the Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I'm going to get into in a minute at the movies, because man, is this stuff ramping up for Spider-Man. There is talks of a Gray Hulk. There are thoughts still, people wondering, about Sadie Sink, which I really don't understand why they're still, not believing what is being told to them. Tom Holland with some statements about the villain in the movie, which I'll talk about later. But anyway, so let's go into the Spider-Man Brand New Day cards, and we will do the rankings. So again, like I do this all the time, now I've already previewed these for you guys. So I've already talked about these, and this is of course from snap.fan that I'm reading these off. But of course we start off with Spider-Man and Mary Jane, in week number 1. That is your season pass and your premium season pass card. Then, of course, we go to Boomerang which is the week of July 14th. Then we go to... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead. So it's Spider-Man and Mary Jane. Then we go to... They're a bit out of order here. We go to Tarantula and Tombstone, coming out on July 7th and July 9th. Then we make our way to July 14th, which is Boomerang. Then we go to July 21st and 22nd, which is Scorpion, J. Jonah Jameson, which I still don't know if that's a confirmed card. I really just don't know if that's a confirmed card or not. And then we go to the Sinister Six, which is looking like it's the last card of the month on the 28th. So all in all, we've got 1, 2, 3. And I missed Aunt May. Aunt May is July 30th or June 30th. Aunt May is June 30th. So she is okay. So yeah, okay. So it's Spider-Man, Brand New Day. It's Mary Jane, and it's Aunt May. They're all in week 1. Then it goes to Tarantula and Tombstone. They are week 2. Then it goes to Boomerang. Then it goes to Scorpion, J. Jonah Jameson, and Spider Sense. And then it goes to Sinister Six. So, all right. So, we'll read through these really quickly again. Spider-Man is a 1/2 movable twice. After this card moves, give one of your other cards at the new location +1 power, even unrevealed ones. Okay, then we go to Mary Jane. End of turn. Give each of your cards that move this turn +1 power. So she's going to be a buff card. Yay, more buffs. Then we go to Aunt May. 2/3, end of turn. If you used a movable ability, give a movable card in your hand -1 cost and +2 power. It's obviously a move month, which you would expect from these cards in particular, because Spider-Man cards usually are. Then we go to Boomerang is a 2/2. When this returns to your hand, randomly steal 4 power from cards in your opponent's hand. Activate, return this to your hand. Then we go to the 21st. We have Scorpion is a 6/8 ongoing. Double the power reductions on all enemy cards. Then we've got J. Jonah Jameson, like I said. Now, if this is a real card, I know it's been data mined forever, but it's saying Series 4. It's a 1/3, and it still says ongoing. Your text emotes are ruder. So this is a hilarious card. If they end up making it like this, I hope they do, but we'll see. Then this is July 21st and 22nd, and then the Spider Sense is a skill. On reveal, give your characters here +2 power. Costs 1 less for each movable card you've played. And then we go to I skipped 2. I keep going in the wrong direction. Tarantula and Tombstone. So Tarantula and Tombstone are July 7th and 9th. Tarantula's end of turn. If you have the highest power among cards in play, give this and 2 cards in your hand +1 power. And then you got Tombstone on reveal. Destroy your lowest power card at each other location. And then you got Sinister Six. Game start. The first 6 characters you draw are evil, in big letters. After you play them all, merge them into this and add this into the last one's location. As I mentioned to you when I was talking about this when I was going over these cards at first, it's going to be a big card. Because if you're merging them all in, this is going to be a very, very, very large powered card. So, alrighty, let's rank these, shall we? So, looking them over, I'm going to go with, because I honestly think that the season pass card, Spider-Man himself, I think is going to end up being the strongest card or one of the strongest cards in the series. So I'm going to go Spider-Man, and again, I'll rank these like Snap on this does. I'll go 1 to 4 on the cards. So Spider-Man, Brand New Day, I'm going to give him a 3.5 stars. I think he's a good card, especially for the cost of 1/2, movable twice. So you can move him a couple times. When he moves, you give him one of your other cards at the new location +1. So it is a buffer card, and it's going to be able to do it twice. So I think it's a good card. I think it's going to probably be one of the best ones. So I'm giving him a 3.5. I think he's going to be good. Mary Jane is a 3/3 end of turn. Give each of your other cards that move this turn +1 power. So obviously, along with Spider-Man, she pairs well with Spider-Man, which, does make sense. I just don't like her stat line. She's going to be a 3/5 at the most, right? End of turn, give each of your other cards that move this turn +1 power. Now it's an end of turn, so she could end up making it into like an end of turn deck, but it would also have to be a move deck, so yeah, probably not. But I mean, you could play Invisible Woman with this type of deck where you have her go twice. So let's say you have one card that moves this turn, then she's going to give each of your cards that moved +1, so she would give that card a +1. So like I said, I think Spider-Man is pretty powerful. Mary Jane, I kind of get the feeling she might be better than people think. I'm going to just say she's a 3. I'll give her a 3. Then we'll go to Aunt May. Aunt May's a 2/3. These are all Series 5, by the way. Another end of turn. So end of turn, if you used a movable ability, give a movable card in your hand -1 cost and +2 power. So again, this is going to play with a lot of these cards that are movable cards. Now again, remember, movable is a new keyword. And a movable card is a card like Nightcrawler, or a card like this new Spider-Man, where you are going to be able to move him yourself, or a card like the old Jeff, or I guess like the new Jeff, the baby dolphin can be moved by you. So that's what all these cards are. So there may be carryover into this season, unfortunately, now that I'm reading about it, with all this buff stuff, because it looks quite similar, at least with these bunch of cards that are overlapping. That are the first cards that are coming out for this season. So I think Aunt May is better than Mary Jane. The cost and the cost of it is better, I think, too. I think Mary Jane might be better served being a 2. But I'm gonna go a 3 on Aunt May as well. No, you know what? I'm gonna keep Spider-Man at a 3.5. I'm gonna give Aunt May a 3.5, and I'm gonna go Mary Jane at a 3. So that's what I'm gonna do there. Then we go to Tarantula. End of turn, if you have the highest power among cards in play, give this and 2 cards in your hand +1 power. So you have to have the highest power among cards in play. This card might actually be... You know where he might be pretty good, actually? He might be good in a... he might be good in a big cards list. Something like a techno-organic virus deck, maybe, or like an old school Surtur list, or even the newer ones now that are playing with War Machine. Those ramp style. He might be pretty good in that. In fact, he might replace Chamber in that deck, because Chamber would go in that ramp style deck. He'd be kind of the lowest card you could play, but if you play him instead, I think he's going to be better than Chamber. because, again, it's an end of turn, again, as a lot of these cards are. End of turn, if you have the highest power among cards in play, which, if you're playing that ramp style deck, you're more than likely going to have the highest power among cards in play. Then you're going to give this and 2 cards in your hand +1. So he's going to be a 2/3, but then you're going to have 2 more cards that are in your hand that are going to get an extra +1. And if they're already those big cards anyway, now you might say, well, big card list is not going to really do much for anyway because they're already big. Well, not necessarily. You might draw your War Machine, which is a 5/9, and then Tarantula would give it a +1. It would now be a 5/10. So, regardless, I'm going to say with him, I'm going to give him a 2.5. I think he's only going to be good in certain types of decks. And definitely not in the category of the last 3 that I went over. On July 9th, we get Tombstone. Tombstone on reveal, 2/3. Destroy your lowest power card at each other location. So obviously, this is one of those cards where, like I said, they seem to come out with every single month. They give Destroy another tool to play with in the chest. And like I said, I joked about this because I said someone really loves Destroy at Marvel Snap because it just seems like every month they do not neglect a Destroy card coming out. And I just don't know that this one is gonna... where does he go? Maybe Dormammu because you're destroying your lowest power card at each other location. So the Dormammu actually kind of calls for that. Maybe in like the Phantom X type decks and stuff like that. Maybe you're looking for that. But otherwise, I think he is going to get a 2. I don't think he's all that great. He's a Series 4, and those cards are usually a little bit more generic the way it is. But I don't think Tombstone is really going to make his way into a whole lot of Destroy stuff. We'll see. Next up, we've got Boomerang. When this returns to your hand, randomly steal 4 power from cards in your opponent's hand. Activate to return this to your hand. So you're going to be able to activate it to do it. You're stealing 4 power from cards in your opponent's hand. Now, it does say cards. So how it's going to do that, I don't know. I guess maybe if your opponent only has 1 card, it's just losing 4 power. If they have 5 cards, then it's going to lose, random amounts of power. It's for that reason that I just don't think I think this is a very situational card. And I just don't necessarily think, as far as it being a toxic card, that it's going to make any real big lists. I know some people are mentioning this with Bounce. Because you could return it to your hands, and then it's gonna, but you still have to activate it though. So I don't even know if that's gonna be that good. I'm not, just at first read and glimpse here, I'm not a big fan of this. So I'm gonna say that's gonna get a 2. Next up we have Scorpion is a 6/8. Very weird stat line. Ongoing, double the power reductions on all enemy cards. So, double the power reductions on all enemy cards. So, if you reduce their power, which is what Boomerang does, and also Tarantula. So, Tarantula and Boomerang both do that. So I guess, in a way, Scorpion's probably going to be best served played with both of those cards. Because he's going to double those power reductions. Now, this will also work in a toxic list because he's ongoing. So I think I mentioned this when I first talked about the card. Instead of like an Ajax, maybe you play this. Or along with an Ajax, You can have the Ajax doing his thing on turn 5. And most of the time, Ajax will just win a lane by himself. And then you can have him that just reduces all the things to double. So, and it is ongoing. So this can be on the board. But a lot of times you like to play the Hazmat last. Unless, of course, you have the Malekith deck going on where Hazmat is hidden. then this becomes pretty good, because then this is going to double all those reductions from the hazmat. So not bad. I'll be interesting to see how it works. The stat line is not ideal. But maybe in the right kind of list, it's not too bad. So I don't know. I would maybe go to like a 2.5 on this. Maybe even a sneaky 3, for Scorpion. Next is a Series 4. This is the J. Jonah Jameson ongoing your text emotes are ruder. So I don't really like what the example they made of this was that when you emote, but how are you going to emote I don't know how this is going to work. This is what it was initially data mined as, but I'm going to be curious as to what when you look into data mines, he has a whole list of things that you're going to say. So, okay. Well, that's, cause you could text emote. You don't have to emote with the little symbols. You can text emote, like when you emote snap with the question mark, and when you emote. So those are your text emotes. So maybe when Jonah is in play, you get like a new list of text emotes. That's probably how it's going to work. If this is the card that it is, I literally will probably have this card in every deck. Just for the rude emotes, I will have this card in every single deck that I play. And it's a lousy 1/3, but I don't care. I will literally put this in every deck just so I can use those emotes. So this card to me, if it has all the ones that I read about from the data mines, and this does that exact same thing, I will give this card a 4. A legit 4. And I don't even care how good it is in the game, which is probably not going to be at all. It's just a lousy 1/3 with nothing else other than making your emotes ruder. But if that's what it does, he's getting a 4 from me. Then we've got the skill on reveal. Give your characters here +2 power. This costs 5, by the way. So this is one of the most expensive skills there is. On reveal, give your characters here +2 power. It costs 1 less for each movable card you've played. So you can get it lowered. And that's just for playing movable cards. So you don't have to move them. It's just for each movable card you played. So obviously he's going to fit in this deck, because I mean, if you play, let's just say you play Spiderman. Let's say you have Nightcrawler in your deck. Let's say you have a Jeff in your deck. You're going to get the characters that are there where you put this are going to get +6 power. So that seems pretty good. I'm going to give that I don't know. I know that, but you can lower the cost. Yeah, I don't know. This might actually be pretty good. I'm going to give this a 3. I'm going to give this a 3.5. I think that might actually be pretty good. And then last but not least, we have the Sinister Six. And like I said, this is one of those cards where we get at the end of the month. They always do this. It's like when RSM came out. It's like when, Galacti, Zombie Galacti, I think, came out at the end of the month. It's almost like they kind of don't want you experimenting with these cards for very, very long. So they just put these out last, because you're only going to be playing them for probably about a week. And then if the thing, what it could be on their part is they could be looking at it like, you know what? We know what this does. And we play tested it, so we know what it can do. However, it could be just a kind of like a meme type card where not many people are going to play it other than maybe the first week. So let's just see what happens. I think a lot of these are like that. But anyway, game start, the first 6 characters you draw are evil. After you play them all, merge them into this. So you literally have to play them on the board. And then it gets merged into the Sinister Six. Now, the Sinister Six could be huge. And add this to the last one's location. So you're basically taking those first 6 characters you play. They're going to all end up getting merged into this on one lane. So it's kind of like you're just plopping down a humongous card at the end of the game on turn 6. But you're going to, you kind of have to keep track of what you do here, because this can easily lose you a game, because it's going to suck up all those cards. And now you're used to looking at those other cards that are in those other lanes, trying to help you win those lanes. And sure, you're going to win this lane. But if it eats 5 of your cards that you needed to win another lane, you're really going to need to make sure you win another lane. So, it's going to be tricky to play, and it's going to take people a long time to figure out. But I mean, my gosh, this is a 612. You can probably, I would imagine, easily get this up to like a 6.8, 630. So the only thing is you got to watch for it, because once this comes into prominence, there's going to be people out there that are going to be playing Shadow King. And so the thing is, you got to lose priority in order to let them do this. And then if you could either hit this with a Shang or hit it with a Shadow King, and Shadow King would take it to 12, so it would still be a 12, but you can kill this with a Shang-Chi, just like you would in the past days, like a big blob that you would just destroy with a single Shang-Chi. You're going to be able to do that with this too. So Sinister Six, look, I will give it a, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of sheer curiosity. Sorry, my TV popped back on. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of sheer curiosity, but it could really kind of go either way. This can be like a sneaky card you find good uses for, kind of like people did with Zombie Galacti, which is now one of the top decks in the game, or this can be completely garbage. So, all right, guys. Well, there you have it. That is my card ranks for the month. And let's just go back to my... I like how people now, I'm saying that the pod's going to come out today, and they're like, "Are you sure?" They're asking me. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna work on it. Mr. Kerfuffle put out, "Are you sure?" in a meme. I mean, I can't blame you. I've made promises that I certainly didn't keep. All right. I had this question. Is Marvel Snap better? And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is overlapping with the editorial piece too. Is Marvel Snap a better game with seasonal variety? So by that I mean with this beach month being all buffs, or a singular focus ability? And maybe that happens both at the same time. The focus ability is obviously buffs this month, and that is also, the seasonal variety with the. However, I really don't know how that goes with beach stuff and buffing, but I whatever. But in your opinion, and this is something I'll probably put out to you guys, and you guys can give me your answers, and I'll read them out in the next pod. But is it better in your opinion with a seasonal variety? So by that I mean like you get maybe like a destroy card, and then maybe you get like a last turn or an end of turn card, and then maybe you get like a discard card, or maybe that's what I mean by variety. Or would you rather have it be singly focused, where every single card that comes out for that month will end up playing off of each other, to the point of where you're going to include them in almost every single deck that you're playing for the month? But let me know. I'm really curious as to what you all think. I know what my answer is, because to me, one of them is very, very boring and redundant. But I'll let that up to you. So I will post that on my X after this is all done, and I'll be curious to see what you guys have for your answers. So, all right. Well, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on my weekend snap, because it hasn't really been, I haven't been doing. We don't want that there. I have to, excuse me a second, I've got to get rid of the music. There we go. I had Snap on in the background, but I didn't want to turn my volume all the way down because then the volume would go down for me because I use my phone to record. Okay, so let's see. So as I told you, I'm done with Grand Arena. I'm sitting at 94. I was literally at 98. And I went on that grand, huge losing streak where I lost like 4 levels down or 5 levels down, and I ended up at 93. And then I've worked my way back up to 94, but that's where I am. I don't know if I'm going to finish it or not, or get to Infinite this month, or I'm just going to be in the 90s where I was, so we'll see. I finished Grand Arena. I finished that, and it's still making sound effects. Hold on. We're still getting sound effects from the game, which I don't want to do because that is not ideal. Let me go back. Let me go back to the home screen. I'm going to turn down there we go. Turn down the master volume all the way to the bottom. Okay. All right. So this is, well, let's go over. I'll let you know what I've been playing first off. So I'll go over some of the decks and let you know what I've been playing. So this is the one I've been playing most recently. This came from Regis. This is a just straight ramp deck that I found that can actually compete with these buff decks because it just goes tall. Now he has Chamber, which I don't know if I necessarily like that card anymore. It doesn't get very big since the nerf to it, so I may end up replacing that at some point with something. Whether it's a 1-cost card, maybe I don't know, maybe Hydra Bob or something along those lines. I'm not quite certain, but that's a card I may end up replacing. Lockjaw's in here, Electro, Jubilee, Dragonlord, Blink, War Machine, Arnim Zola, Galactus First Steps, Giganto, the Infinite, and Fin Fang Foom is in here as well. So this is just, again, you're just trying to get above these big buff decks that are just making these ridiculous high point totals. And that's pretty much it. And so far it's actually, I think I might be, since I started playing this a couple days ago, I think I'm like 5-1 with it. So as you can see, not a lot of gameplay with it, but I'm pretty, I've been liking it so far. I tried this one. This is from KM Best's best decks list. This is a Loki deck, which is also a kind of just like a good cards deck. It's got Quinjet. It's a Techno-Organic Virus deck is what it is. It's got Quinjet because the Techno-Organic Virus, then when you have Quinjet, comes back as a 1-cost instead of a 2. It has Loki obviously in here. Snowguard is in here. Iron Patriot, Mirage, Mobius is in here. Copycat's in here. Gambit, the Horseman Gambit is in here. Debris, Juggernaut, and Wilson Fisk are all in this list. I can tell you that the times that I've gotten Loki on the first turn and I've played him, I've lost almost every single time because you're getting their cards for cheaper, but a lot of times if they're part of these buff decks, you're maybe just not getting the right combinations of the cards and you're not able to capitalize on it. At least that's what I saw. Snowguard obviously gives you the ability to make creative cards. Same thing with Iron Patriot and Mirage. Copycat's going to copy stuff from your opponent's deck and stuff as well. Juggernaut is usually a game winner, but I tell you, I did not have much luck with this deck. And it's supposed to be, it's one of the higher winning percentage rate decks that are out there. Maybe that is up at KM's level where he is in high infinite, but I have certainly not seen it very much myself. And when I played it, it is not successful at all for me. This was the Monstro deck I told you guys I was playing. I think I talked about this last week. Quicksilver, Kate, Bishop, Iron Patriot, Domino, Shadow King, Kraglin, Shang-Chi, Master of Rings, Wiccan, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Wilson Fisk, Galactus First Steps, and Monstro are all in this. Then I've got this one. This is an Aurora buff list. This does pretty well if you get the buffer cards out early. So it has Spider-Ham, Hydra Bob, Zombie Mr. Fantastic, Awesome Andy, Herbie, Sam Wilson's Cap, Cosmo, Venus, Drax, the Avatar of Life, Iska, Thing, First Steps, and Aurora. This kind of pops off if you get the right draws. And what I found out about like cards like Iska and Drax, which are just going to keep getting buffed up and getting bigger, you got to get them out in the board pretty early. Iska especially, you have to get that out. Now your opponent can avoid it, but not for long unless they're just going to give up that lane. So, but you've got to get her out pretty early. I mean, she can come out on turn 4 unless you get a way to get her out earlier, but you want to get her out on that turn 4 because if you don't give her at least a turn or two to scale up, it's not going to matter. She's just not going to get big enough. That first scale just gets her to 6. So unless you can get her to 12, and if she only scales up, like if you put her out on 4 and then get her to scale up on that turn and she goes to 6 right away, then that's pretty good. If you don't, then you're probably going to be in a bit of trouble. So, but this won me a few games and then, kind of went up and down. Let's see. I played a little bit of this. This is a super giant list along with combining with Ozymandias and Rocks. So this is Nightcrawler, Hydra Bob, Ascani Sun, Iron Patriot, Rhino, Cosmo, Shadow King, Debris, Negasonic, Supergiant, Ozymandias, and Wilson Fisk. And then, if you're curious, this is the Galactus deck that I was trying out. So this is Selene, Martyr. Martyr is perfect in Galactus because you're going to hope that you blow her up and it's not going to matter at the end of the game. Jennifer Kale, Green Goblin, Electro, Wave. You don't want to put the Luna in this one because you just don't want... See, what I find in Galactus is if you put Luna in the deck, you're giving your opponent the ability to get priority over you, and you really don't want to do that. So, Electro and Wave, Hobgoblin is in here. Galactus, Alioth, Red Hulk, Galactus First Steps, and Death are all in here. So your hopes are that you can hit that Hobgoblin with the -3 and make it a -5/11. That's just going to stick in a lane. Most of the time, your opponents aren't going to probably play there. So that's an easy win, usually for Galactus on turn 6. Unless you can somehow get the goblins out earlier, depending on the locations and stuff. So that was the Galactus deck that I was messing around with a little bit. And then there's also just this, and this is straight Doom. But again, like I said, Chamber, I would probably say to change from this. But it's Chamber, Moondragon, Invisible Woman, First Steps, Caliban, Drax, Iska, Doom 2099, Iron Lad, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Sandman, Doctor Doom, and Galactus. So again, it's the same thing with those buffer cards, Drax and Iska. And then Chamber, I would think to figure out something else better with, because he just doesn't climb all that well or get all that big anymore. All right, so that's the decks I've played. So now we'll look at some of the cards that I've gotten, variants and such. So obviously Namorita came out today. So I have her. Triton, I have him and his variant that was in the limited time game mode. I did get one of the portal pulls, which was the Rocket Raccoon Champion variant. I got a new Rogue Let's Fight variant. And I think, actually, I might have talked about her last week too. But I got a new Starbrand, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned Starbrand last week. So not a lot of new cards, or a lot of new variants this week. Just the Triton one, the Rocket Raccoon Portal pull, and the Rogue. But I may have mentioned Rogue last week, so not a lot going on there. Not a lot going on there. Of course, Conquest I finished. I got, because I got the Rogue for Conquest. That's the Rogue that's in Conquest. Take a look at the shop real quick. I think there's there's a lot of stuff in here for albums today. So the Summer Beach album is in here. They have all the Summer Beach Party variants. So Athena, Nocturne, they're all 1200. Carnival Games variant for Dagger. Summer Beach Party, Tombstone, or Moonstone. Summer Beach Party of Valentina. There's a soccer variant of Speed. Summer Beach Party variant of Copycat, and Summer Beach Party variant of Victoria Hand. So they're all out. There's a mystery pack for $50. Special offer for Shadow King for $20, along with some tokens. Token Tuesday, 1,500 for 12 tokens. Magic is still in there. The Laid Back Limbo. Magus is in there for $50. And then Wild Child is in here for $30. And then you have Triton. If you already got the card, you can get another variant of him, well, along with 5,000 credits and a mystery border. And then there's one with tokens for Phantom X. $50 for 5,000 tokens. The card, a white border, and some other things. Namorita is also in here as a special offer because I got her card today. The Collector's Vault is here. Always the same stuff. I always get this same Daredevil, the watercolor variant of Daredevil, the Kill new variant of Spider-Man. Always get these. Then I have this one looks new. It's a casual variant of Colossus. I don't remember seeing that one. Then there's a Creative House Pocket variant of Shuri. $30.99 variant of Nick Fury, and a Jim Lee variant of the Sentinel is in here too. So unless I'm really attracted to the variant, I don't buy any of those. The 1,400 is a bit too steep. All right. Well, that about does it for my weekend snap. So we are now going to go over to Comics Corner, and we're going to talk about Namorita and Triton today. Namorita and Triton. So, let's go to Namorita. And, all right, here we go. So, Namorita. Her full name is Namorita Nita Prentice in Surface Society, and Chimera by Sea. Names legally changed from Namorita. She also has a bunch of nicknames. Arsenio. I don't know why the hell they call her Arsenio. Is she an Arsenio Hall fan? Bright Hair, Goldfish Girl, Hard, Little Barracuda, Little Cousin, Nita, and Tigress Shark. And her other aliases are Chimera and Submariner. She was affiliated with some groups: the New Warriors, Atlantean Royal Family, Secret Defenders, Council of Three, Fantastic Four, Soldiers of Misfortune, and the Water Children were all groups that she had been in. Her grandparents are Thakor, great-grandfather, deceased, and grandmother is Cora, great-grandmother, presumed deceased, unnamed grandparents. Her parents are Talon, legal father is deceased. Betty Dean Prentice, adoptive mother, is also deceased. Wow, she lost all her parents. Clones and donors, Namora, genetic template was her mother. Other relatives, Baby Dean, Namor is her cousin. Bira, first cousin. Dara, first cousin. Arcus, first cousin. Fen, great aunt. Atlantean royal family are her relatives. She is single. She's female and 5'6", 225 pounds. Blue eyes, blonde hair, and blue skin. Unusual features: blue skin with white full body tattoos. Pointed ears, small vestigial feathered wings on her ankles, gills behind her ears. All right. Then we have her origin. She's clone of half human mutant and half Atlantean hybrid. Her living status is listed as deceased, so I don't know if she's currently deceased in the comics. She might be. Earth 616, place of death was Stamford, Connecticut. It's a weird place to die. It's where the WWE headquarters are. It's the only thing I think famous about Stamford, Connecticut. But wasn't that? Oh. Stamford was that in Civil War? I'm going to have to read further because I think maybe that's when she died. Yeah, so it was that televised attack that happened in okay, so she was killed there. I didn't realize that. I don't think they brought her back. Yeah, okay, so explosion caused by nitro. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was the explosion caused by, because I'm thinking Stamford. But that's where that all happened. So that was so she was killed in the explosion caused by nitro, which kind of kicked off the whole Civil War thing. No dual identity, new Atlantean, formerly an adventurer, formerly co-leader of Atlantis and board member of Oracle Inc. Her base of operations is formerly New Warriors, headquarters was Atlantis. So her creators, Bill Everett, first appearance was Submariner Volume 2, number 50 in March 1972. She's been around a long time in comics. I was only 3. And then her death was in Civil War number 1, May 2006. So she did indeed die at the beginning of Civil War, and it does not look like she's come back. This page documented it, so they're talking about Namorita until her death at the Stamford incident, which triggered the Civil War. So there is a Namorita currently present on Earth. So this is the one who died. So there is another one that is currently present in comics. Namorita was born to Namora, half-human cousin of Prince Namor. She and her husband Talon were unable to have children. Unknown to Talon, Namora became pregnant via genetic manipulation by Atlantean scientist Vera, who implanted her with her own clone, modifying in appearance to not be Namora's twin, and activating Namora's latent mutant gene in the clone to allow the flight like Namor. Talon died when Namorita was 3, and she and Namora relocated to Lemuria. Eventually, Namora was poisoned by her rival Lyra when Namorita was still a pre-adolescent. Lyra assumed the throne of Lemuria soon after, and Namorita remained in her care, suspecting her of Namora's supposed death, but unable to prove it. While attending Empire State University, like so many Marvel characters do, she found herself coincidentally at the site of the reborn Terax. She was forced into action and was soon joined by a group of other teen heroes. The group became the New Warriors. As a founding member of the team, she played an important part in their quest to change the world. Namorita frequently brought ecological concerns to the team's attention. Let's see here. Soldiers of Misfortune. Nova and Nita continued their... Oh, she had a relationship with Nova. Oh, okay. Nova and Nita continued their relationship, but it fell apart later when Nita began undergoing the next change in appearance / powers and needed Rich's support. He turned away from her because of his own personal problems. When her appearance stabilized as the classic Namorita look, she slept with Bernie Dillon to get back at his best friend Nova. She did not forgive Rich for a long time and pursued a relationship with the Human Torch of the Fantastic Four. Johnny Storm peripherally knew Namorita through her cousin's contact with the Fantastic Four. The two dashing young heroes in popular tabloid topics began a very public relationship. Nita became somewhat of a tag-along with Johnny's team. She would accompany them on a number of missions, but eventually the couple broke up. Her death. During a televised raid by the New Warriors of a building in which Cobalt Man, Speed Freak, Coldheart, and Nitro resided, Namorita followed after Nitro, slamming him into a bus. Namorita taunted him, which made him let off a massive explosion that killed the New Warriors, save for Speedball, whose powers caused him to be launched away by the blast. All of the children at the nearby elementary school and almost all residents in the surrounding neighborhood where the fight took place. Her powers, she has human Atlantean physiology, amphibious physiological adaptation, aquatic healing, amphibious breathing, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, durability, extended longevity, flight, mental detection, superhuman hearing, superhuman vision, and electricity absorption. Offensive secretion. The Namorita could secrete corrosive acid or paralyzing toxin from her hands. An animal mimicry of aquatic life. Octopoid camouflage. Namorita had the ability to change her skin color as camouflage. The effect was so convincing it seemed as though she could actually turn invisible. This is evidence that she has Namor's ability to mimic the abilities of sea animals. She's a trained combatant, multilinguist. Her weaknesses, basically her strength wanes the longer she spends out of water. She uses Atlantean armor and communication earring as equipment. So we're going to go to the other one really quickly because I didn't know there was another version after this one died. Guess it kind of makes sense. That didn't give me exactly what I wanted. Okay, so Namorita Prentice. So this is Earth TRN 343. She is with the New Warriors. She's single. Her eyes are blue and her hair is blonde. Female as well, so similar. Pointed ears, feathered wings on her ankles. Clone of a mutant human Atlantean hybrid brought to 616. Now this one is alive. She was raised in the ancient court of Lemuria, was well schooled in all the noble arts. Now she was created by Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, and Andrea DeVito. And her first appearance was Nova, volume number 4, number 32, December of 2009. We have a quote from her. Fancy that, newsflash, dog breath. I was born to the royal house of Atlantis and raised in the royal court of Lemuria. Well schooled in all the noble arts, including the use of traditional weapons. I am a Shivta, mistress of the long blade. Let's see what you've got, huh? This version of Namorita, picked up in the time stream, seemingly followed the same path as her mainstream version before she was transformed into Chimera and broke up with Nova. During the Fall Crisis, the Sphinx pulled into a magical construction, Nova and Darkhawk, as well as a past version of Reed Richards and Black Bolt. The Sphinx also pulled the magical construction, a past version of Namorita from time before her Chimera transformation. This Namorita was found by Black Bolt, who presumably mummified her to save her and brought her to the heroes and archaeologists' camp. Taken to water to heal, Namorita quickly showed her affection toward Richard, who was momentarily taken aback, then enjoyed to have her in his arms again. After defeating the Sphinx, everyone started to return to their respective time frames, but Nova refused to let Namorita go back to die. So the two leaped at one another before they were to be returned to their proper times, resulting in Namorita being pulled into the present with no apparent ill effects to the time stream. She stayed with Rich until she was abducted by the Revengers from the Cancerverse on the opposite side of the fault. The Revengers were searching for an anomaly and suspect her of being it, as she was indeed a chrono anomaly and not the being they are searching for. She was stored with a few individuals deemed to be such anomalies, including Major Victory. Namora warned Marvel, the avatar of life in the Cancerverse, that her boyfriend will be coming for her. Richard did and managed to rescue all of the prisoners. As Richard was presumed dead when the fall closed, Namorita was left heartbroken. She's presumably still alive as the Atlanteans' mystic sensed her return, and Water Snake of Atlantis, servant of Namora, was sent to retrieve her. Years later, Namorita was seen in battle alongside the New Warriors. Mutant Atlantean physiology: amphibious physiological adaptation, aquatic healing, amphibious breathing, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, durability, flight, and swordsmanship. Formerly a sword found in the floating fortress of Arisen Turk in the other realm. So that's the sword that she has. So there you go. That is Namorita. And now we will go over Triton as well. And that will put an end to the Sea Creature month in Comics Corner. Or Sea Creature individuals. That's not what I wanted. All right. All right, Triton. He has an alias, Prisoner 423-9. He is group affiliated with the Inhuman Royal Family. Formerly of the Universal Inhumans, Inhuman Royal Guard, New Atalan Security Force, New Inhuman Elite, Shi'ar Army Elite Corps, Namor's Deep Six, and Vox. His grandparents are Magnar and Zeta, paternal grandparents. Kobar and La are his also maternal grandparents. Parents are Mander, his father, deceased. Azur, his mother, is also deceased. Siblings: Karnak is his brother. And other relatives is Ravonda, his paternal aunt. Amber, Black Bolt, Medusa, Crystal, and Luna are his cousins. Maximus, and of course lineage. So that's all from the Inhumans. Family-in-law, Aegon and Quillen. He is single. 6'2", 190, green eyes, no hair at all. Skin is green. Scales, webbed feet, gills, fins. Triton has two thin membranes, stalks where his eyebrows would be, a reptilian fish-like body. His origin: inhuman, placed in the Terrigen mists at 1 year old. Emerged with a number of aquatic mutations. From Earth 616. Place of birth was Atalan and the Atlantic Ocean. Identity is secret. Formerly scout of the Inhumans, royal bodyguard, and a soldier. Base of operations: formerly New Arctalan, gray area of the moon. New Atalan, Hudson River, upper New York Bay, New York, New Jersey border. Atalan, New York City, New York, formerly Hala. Blue area of Earth's moon. Himalayas, China, and the Atlantic Ocean. Creators Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, all the way back in Fantastic Four number 45 from 1965, 4 years before I was born. Has a quote: "The battle against evil is everyone's fight. Even an Inhuman has a code to live by." Triton was the eldest of two sons, born to the Inhuman priest and philosopher Mander and his wife Azur. Triton was exposed to the mutagenic Terrigen mist when he was a year old and emerged with a number of aquatic mutations. No longer able to breathe air, the young Triton was raised in a specially designed alcove on the shore of the island of Atalan. Triton's mother, a biologist, undertook the study of ocean life so she could better understand and care for her son. Eventually, a cumbersome breathing apparatus was designed to enable Triton to survive out of water for extended periods. The apparatus was refined and miniaturized by Maximus some years later. Triton's mother died during an undersea mishap when he was 14. At 18, he became a scout for the Inhumans, keeping watch over her human ocean-going traffic in the vicinity. When sailors captured him, Black Bolt decided that Atalan was in danger of human discovery. Subsequently, the city was moved twice, first to the Himalayas, then to the moon. Neither site close to water. Triton now occupied his time exploring the ancient subterranean water tunnels beneath the moon's blue city. He occasionally transported to Earth under Lockjaw's power to swim the oceans and renew old acquaintances, such as his friendship with Prince Namor the Submariner. When Black Bolt and the rest of his cousins, or with Black Bolt and the rest of his cousins, Triton wandered the Earth in search of their fellow Inhuman Medusa. They soon found her after Gorgon was sent by Maximus to bring her back, and Triton was with the group as they discovered the Human Torch in their hidden base alongside Crystal. He and Gorgon fought with Johnny, who eventually escaped and alerted the rest of the Fantastic Four. Then, with the rest of the Inhumans, Triton joined in a battle atop New York City's buildings against the Fantastic Four. But Mr. Fantastic quickly discovered his suit of water that kept him submerged and tore it open. Triton was forced to flee the battle and dive off the New York City docks, only to be captured shortly thereafter by the Seeker, who had also been sent to bring the Inhumans back to Attilan. When the Seeker captured the android Dragon Man, the Fantastic Four followed his trail to discover his ship, but the Dragon Man awoke too soon. Finding himself changed, broke free and went on a rampage, destroying the water globe that the Seeker held Triton within. While the Human Torch and the Thing left to chase the Dragon Man, Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Girl stayed behind and used Sue's powers to save Triton before he expired in the air. But the Seeker soon claimed him under Inhuman law, and Reed was forced to give him up to be returned to Attilan. Shortly after, Black Bolt and the rest of the Inhumans returned to Attilan, and Black Bolt tore his crown from his brother Maximus. Maximus then revealed to Triton that the Seeker that he was setting off and the Seeker that he was setting off his Atmo gun, which would kill all the humans on Earth, leaving only the Inhumans to rule the planet. But the machine didn't work, and Medusa announced what it revealed, that the Inhumans were the same race as the humans. This drove Maximus insane, and he reversed the Atmo gun, sealing Triton and the rest of the Inhumans in a negative zone barrier that surrounded Attilan. In his stint in complete madness, Maximus created circulators that would pump saline into Triton's blood, allowing him to breathe air like other Inhumans. Later, Black Bolt was forced to use his powerful voice to destroy the shield that surrounded Attilan, and the Inhumans were freed. Then the Council of Elders decreed that the royal family should split up and go into the human world, which Black Bolt agreed to, and they dispersed to go among the humans. He was also in Secret Invasion. They forged alliance with the Kree. And then his powers: aquatic physiology, aquatic vision, strength, inhuman speed, inhuman stamina, inhuman agility, inhuman reflexes, and inhuman durability. Of course, swimming, underwater combat, zero-G combat, weaponry, skilled in the use of inhuman sonic echo weapons. Water deprivation is his weakness. He cannot survive out of water for more than 5 minutes without special devices before asphyxiating. His body is also very susceptible to dehydration. He does wear a water circulation apparatus. Triton's nerve endings beneath his scales can transmit nav data. All right, so there you go. That is Triton, and that is going to take us to the Marvel Unlimited app and my books of the week. Brand new May, Peter Parker Spider-Man Queen's Finest, #1. I wonder what that is. New Spider-Man book? Carnage's Surprise, Amazing Spider-Man #24. So they're highlighting all of the Spider-Man books. It's kind of cool. All right, so new this week, of course, is what I just said, Peter Parker Spider-Man Queen's Finest Infinity comic. So these are exclusive to the Marvel app, featuring J. Jonah Jameson, May Parker, Spider-Man Peter Parker. So now I wonder, I don't exactly know what that one is. I'll have to check that out. We also have, new this week, we've got X-Men #27. And they titled that The Danger Room. Ultimates #22, Red Skull on the cover. We have The Mortal Thor, which is up to issue #8. We have The Infernal Hulk, the horror book that I love, up to issue #5. Shadows of Tomorrow, Cyclops #2. We have a facsimile edition. This is an older book that got they reprinted here. And this is Phoenix, The Untold Story, number 1. The Amazing Spider-Man from 2025. Wade Wilson, Deadpool is up to issue number 2. The Sentry has his own book. Ooh, I'll read this. Sentry number 1, 2026. So brand new book for him. I'm thinking he's going to figure pretty prominently in both Doomsday and Secret Wars. Sorcerer Supreme is up to number 4. Black Panther Intergalactic is up to number 4. Planet She-Hulk is up to issue number 5. X-Men of Apocalypse is up to issue number 3. Ultimate Wolverine, issue number 15. Mark Spector Moon Knight up to issue number 2. Captain America up to issue number 8. Red Wing is at issue number 3. That is also exclusive to the app. And then we also have Alien, the friendliest facehugger, the cute little alien. And that's up to issue number 8. See if there's anything else. Look at the trending titles here. X-Men United, Imperial Guardians, Venom, Magic and Colossus, Black Cat, Storm, Doctor Strange, The End 2099, Hulk Smash Everything 1776, Logan, Amazing Spider-Man, Planet of the Apes, Fantastic Four. They are the trending titles. And there's some recommended ones. Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. New Avengers, Doctor Strange on Asgard. Doom Academy, West Coast Avengers. X Factor. Scarlet Witch. And a few more. But yeah, so let's see. We'll look up... let's look up Triton here. Mostly Inhuman books. Secret Invasion, Inhumans, Earth X, Inhuman from 2014 to 2015. He's in Inhumans Judgment Day, some Fantastic Four stuff, 1996 and 97. X Factor, Inhumans Once and Future Kings, Inhumans, War of Kings, Uncanny Inhumans. So as you'd imagine, he's in a lot of Inhuman books. And now we'll go to Namorita. She has been in Avengers / Invaders, 2008, 2009, New Warriors, a Marvel 2-in-1 with Thing and Man-Thing. Wow, that's a weird book for her to be in. Namor the Submariner. Makes sense. Saga of the Submariner. Nova books. Also makes sense. New Warriors. Fantastic Four. Namor. So yeah. There you go, guys. What is this? I gotta see what this is. I gotta open this up. To see what I just want to look at a couple pages of this Spider-Man thing. Starts off when he's on his phone. He's on his cell phone when he's web slinging at the same time. He comes across the Looter, formerly known as the Meteor Man. That's a blast from the past there. Oh, he smashed his phone. That's a shame. Aunt May's having dinner with Jonah and John Jameson. Ooh, that's creepy. She's sitting across the table and she got they're all getting stuff on their phones, and Aunt May picks up the phone. And then she's like mumbling stuff, and Jonah hears her and says, May, are you all right? And then she's saying, must kill. And then she says, must kill Spider-Man. And it just says to be continued. Wow, that's interesting. Okay. I have to check that out, yeah. All righty then, guys. Well, there you go. That is it for Comics Corner for this week. We are now going to head over to Minute at the Movies. Minute at the Movies. I've got a lot more stuff for you guys this week than I had last. All right, so let's get through this, shall we? And we're going to start right here. So, as I told you guys, talked a lot about Disclosure Day last week. Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day crossed the $100 million mark worldwide yesterday, 4 days after its domestic opening. It's now the fastest original film to hit the century milestone this decade, outperforming Sinners and Hoppers. Let's just out of curiosity look and see where it is now. Because, everything really slows down after the first week. So let's find out where it's at right now. It had a big drop. I figured that probably would happen. So, up to the minutes, just, approximately 160.4 million globally. The film, that's global, 78.3 million domestic and 82 million internationally, costing $115 million to produce. It requires around $300 million to break even. And it's only at 160 global. So that's not good. Not good. And they have an article here in Vulture on it, which I can't read. Disclosure Day crashes hard at the box office as its road to profitability gets much tougher. Took a significant tumble, 62%. The film, which runs 2 hours and 25 minutes... numbers aren't terrible. They become much more concerning when stacked against the film's reported costs. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just starting to think, that we just saw this with another movie, with He-Man and how bad He-Man has done. I really just am kind of thinking that unless it's an absolute event, right? Now, Toy Story is doing well. So unless it's an absolute event or a kid's movie, I guess I'll say, because let's look at Toy Story. 327.5 million worldwide. Domestic was 160. So biggest opening weekend of 2026. So you can see. So that's where I was going. Unless it's a event film or a kid's movie, I just kind of don't think people are going to the movies. And I can't blame them. I mean, I belong to that movie club, so I get free tickets and stuff every month that I have kind of saved up. But for anyone else, to pay the prices that come with it, if you're going to go to an IMAX theater, and you're buying tickets, you're going to pay $15 to $16 a ticket. Then you run into the point where you're more than likely going to probably either buy a snack or buy popcorn and a soda. And if you're taking like a kid with you, or if you're taking a family with you, this can cost very close to $100, if not more. And I just think that that's just killing the movie industry right now. I think just the cost of it, not to mention gas. Gas to just get to drive to a theater if you're not close to one. That's another thing you have to consider. We're just living in times right now where unless this is an event film, I just don't think it's going to do well. And, I had said Disclosure Day was a little bit disappointing for me. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. But because I had a free ticket, I didn't really care. But I could imagine why people really just aren't going to see films. Now, Toy Story is obviously proving that wrong, but that's a kid's film. And I think a lot of, parents will take the children, especially in the summertime when school's out and things like that. They'll spring for a movie, and maybe they're going to see it as a matinee, where you pay a little bit less. You could take the kids to like 11 o'clock in the morning, 11:30 or whatever. But I really think now Supergirl, it's going to be interesting how Supergirl does. I'm going to see that next week, but it's going to be interesting to see how that does. I kind of think it's probably going to do about the similar numbers to maybe a little bit better than Disclosure Day, but I don't think it's going to hit the Toy Story numbers because it's not an event film. And I don't think a lot of people are going to go. I really don't think a lot of people are going to go see it. Now Spider-Man will get everyone because that's going to get children. That's going to get family. That's going to get everybody likes Spider-Man. And it's not just a particular thing like Fantastic Four where kids aren't necessarily fans of that and stuff. And like the other Marvel films that were out last year, but Spider-Man is going to be huge. Spider-Man's going to be huge. And then maybe Doomsday at the end of the year. Dune also should rake in some really good numbers. But other than that, I really just don't know. And it's very much because I think of the cost. So this is just a little snippet from the Russo brothers. Says there are a lot of surprises in Avengers Doomsday, which some of it leaked. Some of it leaked. There was a scene that was kind of confirmed by some people in the know that it was indeed a leaked scene. Speaking of those Spider-Man tickets, I got my XD Super ticket. Normally it's $40 because you get to see it early. And this is going to be Thursday night. I'm going 7:30 p.m. 7 p.m. on 7:30. I'm going to see Spider-Man. And the Super ticket gets me an XD poster. I get a branded, I get a huge popcorn tin, 130 ounce branded popcorn tin with Spider-Man stuff on it. I get a medium drink, and I get a spider suction phone mount. So that's kind of cool. And I get an exclusive Spider-Man hat. So I get all that. And this only cost me, instead of the $40, this only cost me, like with my discounts and stuff from Cinemark, I ended up getting it for $22. So that was not bad. Marvel stuff coming up for the rest of this year. We've got, of course, Spider-Man Brand New Day, end of July. In August, we have X-Men 97 Season 2, and the critics are already seeing that, and it has come out to rave reviews, 99% on Rotten Tomatoes so far. September, we get Wolverine the Game on PS5. October, we get Vision Quest, the series, which hardly anyone is talking about, but I imagine Comic-Con is coming up soon. And along with a big presence of Doomsday, which it already has, there are Doomsday signs lining the streets there in San Diego. So besides that, I think they will have probably the first trailer for Vision Quest, and I imagine they will be talking a lot about that. Along with the next one then in November, and that is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2. I would imagine they'll have trailers for that as well, along with X-Men 97, all at Comic-Con. And then, of course, the big one, Avengers Doomsday in December. So you've got something from Marvel coming almost every month now for the rest of the year. The new Spider-Man trailer has a little website with it attached to it and this is Ned's website that he has, where it's called a Spider Tracker, where you can go and you can get they're giving little tiny like clues, little tiny like Easter eggs and stuff like that, where they actually showed the same clip of Spider-Man and Hulk falling out of the building. So if you've seen the trailer, you've seen that. But in the one that Ned has on his site, the Hulk is gray. Now, many people have said that they would, that they think the Hulk might be gray in this. And if you look at a close-up shot of him, even in the shot where he is confronting Spider-Man in that apartment, and you see him standing over Spider-Man in that, what I think is Peter's apartment, on the left, he certainly looks green, but on the right, he looks gray. So I don't know if he's just morphing into Gray Hulk, but many people have talked about that. And in fact, They mentioned it in an interview where they had Tom Holland, they had Zendaya, they had Sadie Sink, and they had the actor who plays Ned there. And one of them said something about the Hulk's color, and then Tom Holland right away said, "That was not me. That wasn't me. I did not spoil it. That was somebody else," and he blamed it on them for saying. I can't remember who it was. I don't remember if it was Sadie that said it. One of them did. But Tom Holland's well known for his spoilery stuff, and this time he made it perfectly clear that it wasn't him. So I kind of would be surprised if we don't see Grey Hulk in the film. This is just a comics thing. IGN wrote, The Amazing Spider-Man is about to become the first Marvel series in comics to reach 1,000 issues. And Marvel is teasing the massive book with a gorgeous lineup of artwork. So huge, huge milestone. And I've been reading it since I was a young man. So I'm reading it for a long time. They also showed Spider-Man fighting another villain, and that is Ramrod. Which was in, of course, Spider-Man comics. In fact, the issue is The Amazing Spider-Man 221, and the title of it is Crisis on Campus. And they even have the shot of him going through the wall with his head, which is exactly the comics cover. So you're going to see him fight Ramrod in the movie as well. In film, other than Marvel stuff, a Thundercats movie, Thundercats, is in the works at Warner Brothers Animation, and it will be an animated movie. Alrighty. Tom Holland, this is from Culture Crave, says there's one character who remembers Peter Parker's secret identity in the MCU. And in quotes, no one remembers that Spider-Man is Peter Parker apart from one person. I think that one person could be Sadie Sink, but we'll see. This is DC property. There's a Batman Knightfall, which I love. I love the Knightfall story. It's so good. It's the origin of the character Bane. He basically breaks out all of Batman's villains from the prison, and basically has them all just go on this rampage that Batman has to stop in an effort to basically break Batman. And then, of course, you all know that if you know the story, you know that he breaks Batman's back because Batman's so worn out from fighting all these villains that have escaped from the prison. But it's very good. They're doing this animated, and this is going to release. New look at the animated movie releases online, so you could see, I guess, a clip of it, but it's not coming out until later in 2026. This is horror stuff. Miramax has reportedly canceled the Halloween TV series. There was supposed to be a TV series. Since the last movie came out, there were no more real plans for Halloween, but it said, and development on a new movie has taken its place for a targeted 2028 release. How the hell are they going to do this at this point? Because in the last one, he was ground in a hamburger. He literally got ground up in a car crushing machine and came out as a big pile of blood and guts and hamburger. So I don't know what they're going to do here. I don't know if this is going to be prequel thing. I don't know. Honestly, I would have held off from Halloween for a little while. But, a good slasher never dies. And if there's money to be made, they'll make it. But I just don't know how they're going to do this. I mean, the last we saw of him, he's hamburger. But I know Halloweens have a whole bunch of different timelines and different stories that take place in different, I have no clue. I have no idea. They had a first look at Nicolas Cage in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. So there's going to be a Black Ops 7 movie, and Nicolas Cage is going to be in it. He's a lot of work he's been doing lately, huh? This is a video game thing. I'll get to that in a little bit. Tom Holland revealed today in Berlin that the main villain in Spider-Man Brand New Day has not been leaked yet. It's still very much in secret. Who can it be? I have some ideas. One of my ideas is a villain that I read back in the 70s. We'll see. This from Marvel Studios. Storm is back in X-Men 97 Season 2. Streaming July 1st only on Disney+. So that's coming soon, guys. A live-action Sea of Thieves movie's in the works. Destin Daniel Cretton, who is doing Spider-Man, that had done the new Spider-Man movie, Shang-Chi, is set to produce. This is some video game stuff. Tom Holland actually lost a contest for Best Spider-Man Impersonator with Zendaya as one of the judges. He was dressed up in a pretty bad Spider-Man costume, but he lost the That's pretty funny, actually. That's pretty funny. Jennifer Tilly confirms new Chucky project is officially in development. Told you, good slashers never die. They never die. All right. Well, that is going to do it for a minute at the movies for this week. I don't have anything really coming up until next week when I go see Supergirl, so I'll let you guys know how that is on the next podcast because I'm going to see it on Monday. So I will let you all know, based on a very, very good graphic novel that I read earlier this year called Woman of Tomorrow? Yeah. Can't remember the name of it now. But very, very good comic book, and I will let you guys know. Maybe I'll review the movie on the pod next week. So I will let you know how that goes. And the last thing we've got to cover is some video game stuff. And we'll go over some video game news real quick. This is from German Strands. Rumor, Devil May Cry 1 remake is coming and could already be pretty far along. So there is a remake coming for Devil May Cry. The PlayStation 6, this is from Gameverse, is reportedly launching in 2027. I think I might have mentioned this before, so that's not all that shocking. That has been mentioned a few times already that I've seen. So PlayStation fans, get your money ready because that sucker is going to cost a lot of cash. A lot of cash. This one is a Star Wars game. So command an elite squad through an authentic story in Star Wars Zero Company, a single-player turn-based tactics game set in the twilight of the Clone Wars. Unlock unique cosmetic items inspired by Clone Wars era when you buy the deluxe edition. So that's coming out soon if you're into Star Wars. Let's see what else we've got. I thought I had another video game thing or two here. I think I do. Let's see. I know I went past something. But let's see. Oh, this is, Dead by Daylight. If you're into the horror stuff, and again, I went and got the Jason skin for Dead by Daylight. I'll see. I haven't tried to play it yet, but we'll see if I'm going to be able to. But it says the perfect charm to go slashing through the fog. Enter the code the slasher, all in caps, in the in-game store before July 16th to unlock the slasher figurine charm. And it's a little tiny charm of Jason, so I'll of course be getting that too. I think that might be it, but let me just see if there's any other pressing video game stuff going on. Oh, how can I forget this? Grand Theft Auto is getting has a pre-order date. Official pre-orders for Grand Theft Auto 6 will begin on Thursday, June 25th, 2026, across all major digital storefronts and physical retailers. Highly anticipated title is scheduled for a full release on November 19th, 2026, right before Thanksgiving, for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Pricing for the standard edition has yet to be officially confirmed, though industry analysts and retailer listings anticipate a base price in the $70 to $80 range, with premium or collector bundles expected as well. No PC release date has been officially set, so pre-orders are limited to console editions. So that was a huge announcement that everybody was waiting on, because it is one of the most anticipated releases of this year. So, well, guys, there you go. That is going to do it for me. Just in at a little over 2 hours. Again, I am going to try to get these out. Like I said, now that my my schedule has turned static. And it's going to be the same days, hopefully every single week. So I'll be able to once again do this on Tuesdays every single week as well. So again, I appreciate all your patience with this, but I did get this one out on time, thankfully. Again, remember to leave me those comments on that question I asked earlier in the pod. And again, watch for, obviously, next Tuesday, I will have another giveaway for some season passes for the Spiderman Brand New Day series, which I am looking forward to in a big, big way, especially because of how my ending of this month is going in the game. I am part of the Snap Judgments League of Podcasts, which includes such awesome podcasts as Snap on This with your host, Lauren Whatevs. It's Just Ree and Benjamin Roller. They are an awesome group of people that do the podcast every single Friday. It comes out on audio and, of course, on their YouTube page as well. Check them out. Always a good time. They talk about comics. They do secret homework. And, of course, I'm sure they'll be doing their new card ranks as well. And then, of course, check out Glazer, Snap Judgments for everything he does. He puts out those deck lists for you guys every single day. He has a podcast that he does on Saturdays. Just one of the best people out there in the game right now. Check him out as well. All right, guys. Well, listen, that is going to do it for me in this episode of Snap Decisions. Have a great rest of your week in Snap. Hope you guys can make an easier journey to Infinite than I, of course, am able to do. But mostly, have fun with the game because that's why it's there. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great week. Please stay safe. Be kind to one another always. And hopefully, I will talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. This is your Snap DJ, signing off.